I thought he was the sweet, wholesome guy every girl dreams about, until he confessed his deepest, darkest secret on our second date. He seemed almost too perfect at first. We matched on a dating app, and his profile painted the picture of a genuinely nice, low-key guy. He didn't drink or smoke, dreamed of becoming a weather forecaster, was incredibly close with his grandfather, and came across as polite, family-oriented, and a true gentleman. Nothing flashy, just refreshingly normal and vanilla, which honestly felt like a nice change. Our first date was simple and sweet. We met at a busy cafe and ended up talking for nearly 2 hours. The conversation flowed easily, and I left feeling optimistic. So I suggested a second date, and we agreed on grabbing ice cream at a cute outdoor spot near the park. We were sitting on a bench enjoying our treats when the topic of physical attraction came up. I casually mentioned how guys usually focus on obvious features on women, while girls sometimes notice quirky things like strong calves or nice hands. That's when things took a strange turn. He suddenly got quiet and said, "I don't know if I should tell you this." Of course, my curiosity kicked in. I gently prodded him until he opened up. First, he admitted he had a foot fetish. That alone wasn't a deal breaker for me. I found it interesting more than anything, so I asked him a bunch of questions about it. Since he mentioned he'd never been in a serious long-term relationship, I asked whether he thought he could be with someone who wasn't into that side of things, at least long enough to build real feelings. His answer surprised me. No, I've actually called girls from escort ads a couple of times because I couldn't handle it anymore. Still, I tried to stay open-minded. Then he asked if I had ever heard of something called a crush fetish. He immediately warned me not to look it up because it would freak me out. He explained there were 2 levels. Level 1 involved getting aroused by watching someone step on and crush small invertebrates, like insects under their feet. That was his thing. Level 2, which he said was much darker, involved vertebrates, small animals like rabbits or kittens. My stomach dropped as the pieces from our first date suddenly clicked into place. During that initial conversation at the cafe, I had casually mentioned how my apartment had been overrun with bugs that summer and how I'd been squishing them all day long. He had responded at the time with, "Wow, that really got me going." I hadn't thought much of it then. I also remembered him asking what kind of shoes I usually wore. I was wearing soft moccasins that day and, being pretty open, had joked that they made my feet smell, so I tried not to wear them too often. His reply had been, "Honestly, that turned me on so much. I'd love to smell your shoes if you'd let me." He followed that with several other very forward, very specific comments about what he found attractive about me. Comments that felt way too intimate and uncomfortable for a second date. The whole conversation left me feeling uneasy. A week or so later, I texted him that I had started seeing someone else and thought it was best if we stopped talking. Then, a few months after that, he reached out again, 4 or 5 separate times. Each message was basically the same. He asked if I could help him out and offered to pay me if I would let him do things with my feet. That was the final confirmation I needed. What started as a promising connection with a seemingly sweet, wholesome guy had revealed itself to be something much stranger and more unsettling than I ever expected. Sometimes the quiet, nice ones hide the biggest surprises, and not the good kind. I thought my Tinder date was just a fun, classy girl, until she turned one brunch into the most chaotic day of my life. About 8 months ago, I matched with a woman on a dating app who seemed outgoing and full of energy. She suggested we meet for a late breakfast at a trendy wine bar in a popular upscale neighborhood. I agreed, picked her up from her luxury apartment complex in a vibrant part of the city, and buzzed in when she wasn't quite ready yet. Her place was stunning, high-end furniture, beautiful decor, and clearly no roommate sharing the space. We headed out and arrived at the restaurant around 1 p.m. What started as a relaxed meal quickly escalated when she ordered and finished an entire bottle of champagne all by herself. She was lively and talkative, but the drinking was noticeably heavy for a first date. After we left the restaurant, she asked me to stop at a stylish boutique in a trendy shopping area nearby. I parked in the underground garage and stepped out of the car. When I looked around for her, she was nowhere in sight. Then I heard a strange noise. I glanced behind my car and saw her squatting next to the concrete wall, peeing right there on the ground in broad daylight. I was stunned but tried to play it cool. We went inside the boutique anyway. She picked out several dresses and headed to the fitting room. She motioned for me to come closer, then pulled me inside the small space with her. Without hesitation, she undressed completely in front of me, tried on the first outfit, asked for my opinion, then stripped again to try on the next one. This continued for a few different pieces. In the end, she selected around $1,500 worth of clothing and took everything to the counter. Right there, she told the cashier she desperately needed to use the restroom. The cashier politely said no at first, but my date begged insistently until the woman finally agreed and led her to the back. It was too late, though. The accident had already happened. To cover it up, she also purchased a new pair of pants before we left. On the drive back toward her neighborhood, her phone rang. She answered and began speaking rapidly in a foreign language I couldn't even begin to identify. It didn't sound like anything from Europe, Asia, or Latin America that I recognized. She sounded extremely nervous and upset during the conversation. When she hung up, she told me she needed to stop by her other apartment, also in the same upscale area. She asked me to come inside with her. This second place was just as impressive as the first, spacious, beautifully decorated, and clearly hers alone. While I was there, I noticed an impressive telescope and started looking through it out of curiosity. In the reflection of a mirror, I saw her discreetly open a hidden safe and slip something into her purse. A few minutes later, she said we had to leave right away and asked if I could take her to my house instead. We drove to my place, and almost as soon as we arrived, she passed out completely. She stayed unconscious on my couch for nearly 6 hours. When she finally woke up, she immediately wanted fast food from a popular ice cream and burger chain. Unfortunately, it was already closed for the night, and she burst into tears. I offered to take her to another nearby drive-thru instead. She ordered a massive meal, a cheeseburger, a chili dog, cheese fries, and a large sundae. Back at my house, she devoured everything, only to throw it all up shortly afterward. Then she passed out again on the couch. I spent the rest of the evening reading quietly before heading to bed myself. The next morning, she woke up and asked if she could stay and watch football with me. I explained that I already had plans for the day and needed to take her home. She insisted she couldn't go back to either of her apartments. I told her I was sorry, but I really had commitments and couldn't change them. I drove her back to the second apartment complex and dropped her off. Later, she sent me a few texts asking when we could see each other again, but I never replied. Looking back, that single date was one of the wildest and most bizarre experiences I've ever had on a dating app. Some connections start promising and then spiral so far out of control that the only smart move is to walk away and never look back. I matched with a cute girl on a dating app and thought I was about to have an easy night, until I stepped inside her house and realized I had walked straight into a nightmare. It was a Tuesday evening when I matched with a girl I'll call Elle. She was cute as hell, and our chat flowed easily. After a bit of back and forth, I suggested meeting up and try to find a nice, neutral public spot near her. Instead, she invited me to a barbecue with some of her former co-workers. I hesitated at first. I really didn't want our first meeting to be at a casual group event, but she made it sound fun, so I eventually caved and agreed. To my surprise, the barbecue turned out to be pretty enjoyable. Elle and I were getting along well, laughing and talking. She kept trying to feed me shots of rum, but I turned them down because I had to work early the next morning. Everything felt relaxed and promising. When the barbecue ended, she abruptly said, "Okay, I'll talk to you later," and walked off. I was confused but headed to my car and started driving home. As soon as I got on the freeway, she texted me, "You could have come over to my house if you had asked." I immediately replied that I was still up for it. She sent me her address, so I turned around and sped toward her place. She lived in a rougher part of town, but at that moment I was so convinced something was going to happen that I didn't care. I pulled up to her house, and she came out front to greet me as I walked up. While climbing the stairs to her door, she casually mentioned that she took in stray cats. I'm allergic to cats, but as long as I avoided touching my eyes, it was usually manageable. I assumed she probably had 4 or 5 at most. Those thoughts were still running through my head when she added, "Yeah, so I have like 15 cats," and opened the front door. The living room was pitch black, but I could immediately see at least a dozen pairs of glowing eyes all turned toward the open doorway. Then the cats scattered in every direction like cockroaches. I didn't break stride and walked straight inside. The moment I crossed the threshold, it felt like slamming into a solid wall. The smell that hit me was overwhelming. Pure, concentrated cat urine from 15 unwashed stray cats. It was so thick it almost had weight. Even with no lights on, I could make out stacks of bins and clutter piled everywhere, like something straight out of a hoarding documentary. Cats perched on top of these towers, staring down at me. Elle quickly ushered me through the chaos and into her bedroom. The room smelled strongly of bleach, which actually burned my nostrils after the intense cat odor outside. She mentioned she had just cleaned everything with bleach, as if scrubbing an entire room with it was a completely normal cleaning routine. Any reasonable person would have turned around and left long before this point, and I probably should have too. But I had already come this far, and my judgment was clouded. We got comfortable on her bed, and she turned on a movie. This was before Netflix and chill became a common phrase, but I knew exactly where things were headed. She picked a dark, horror-style film, something like the Saw series, called Adrenaline or similar, and curled up as the little spoon. I made a few gentle advances during the movie, but she was completely unresponsive. After about 45 minutes of nothing happening, I told her it was already 2 a.m. and I needed to get home so I could sleep before work. Throughout my entire time in the house, I had tried hard not to touch my face, but deep down I knew there was no way I was escaping unscathed. I drove home with my eyes already starting to itch and water. Once inside, I looked in the mirror and saw a disaster. Both eyes were bloodshot and extremely irritated. My allergies had never lasted more than a couple of hours before, so I went to bed assuming I would be fine by morning. Boy, was I wrong. My alarm went off at 4:45 a.m. I felt terrible and could barely open my eyes as I shuffled to the bathroom for a shower. When I flipped on the light, I was horrified by what I saw in the mirror. My right eyelid was so swollen it was almost level with my eyebrow and completely shut. My left eye wasn't much better. Both felt like they were filled with sand. The swelling refused to go down after a couple of hours, so I had to call in sick to work and visit the doctor for a prescription to reduce the reaction. Later that day, I texted Elle to let her know I was apparently more allergic to cats than I had remembered. I never received a response. Some first dates look promising on the surface, but the moment you step through the wrong door, reality hits harder than any allergy attack ever could. I definitely learned my lesson about ignoring early red flags, no matter how cute the girl is. I thought I was just going on a simple first date, until she turned the entire night into a psychological thriller. You know that feeling when a match seems perfect on paper, the texting flows easily, and you're genuinely excited for the date? That's exactly how it started with her. We connected on a popular dating app, chatted back and forth for a few days, and the vibe felt right. I got her number, called her to make proper plans, and we settled on meeting that Friday evening at 8 p.m. for drinks at a casual bar downtown. During the call, I offered to cover her rideshare to my apartment building so we could head out together from the lobby. That's when the first major red flag waved right in my face. She immediately sounded nervous and said she was terrified of the dark and worried about someone kidnapping her. I tried to reassure her calmly. 8 p.m. in the city isn't pitch black, and my building had a bright, well-staffed lobby with security personnel on duty around the clock. She could even wait right outside if stepping inside made her uncomfortable. But she wouldn't budge. She kept insisting how unsafe it felt. Not wanting to push her or start things off on the wrong foot, I suggested we switch to a completely public spot instead, a well-lit coffee shop near her neighborhood. She agreed, and we locked in 8 p.m. there. The day of the date arrived, and the weather wasn't cooperating. It was windy and raining off and on. For hours before we were supposed to meet, I texted her a quick reminder. Hey, make sure to bring a jacket. It's pretty gusty out there tonight. She replied right away, saying she would and thanking me for the heads up. As the evening progressed, the rain picked up again. So around 7 p.m. I sent another message suggesting that if it turned into a full thunderstorm by 7:30, we could reschedule to keep things safe and comfortable. By 7:30, the storm had passed and the rain had eased up. At about 7:40, I let her know I was leaving my place and heading to the coffee shop. The text thread from there is where things really started to unravel. A little after 8 p.m., she messaged asking me to let her know once I got there. I figured that meant she was already on her way or even waiting inside. My ride, however, took a wrong turn thanks to traffic and GPS confusion, so I ended up arriving around 8:20 later than planned. I walked in expecting to see her, but the place was empty of anyone matching her description. No sign of her at all. I gave it a few more minutes, telling myself her interest had seemed high during our chats, and she deserved the benefit of the doubt. By 8:30, I decided to call. When she answered, I asked if she was on her way. Her response floored me. She said she was still at her apartment building because she was too afraid of the dark to leave. I reminded her gently that we had agreed on the coffee shop at 8 p.m., and it was now half past. She then suggested I come pick her up from her building, which was about a 10-minute drive away. This completely confused me. The same woman who had been terrified of the dark and potential kidnapping was now willingly giving out her address and asking a guy she'd never met in person to show up at her door. To make it even stranger, she had known I was en route nearly 20 minutes before our original meet time, had asked me to text when I arrived, and now, 30 minutes past schedule, she was still nowhere near ready. I asked if she could make it to the coffee shop in the next 10 minutes. That would have given her close to an hour since my last text, plenty of time if she had been preparing. She ignored the question and kept pushing for me to come get her instead. I pointed out that I had already offered to arrange safe transportation for her days earlier, which she had turned down. I asked again, clearly, "Can you get here in the next 10 minutes?" There was a long, awkward silence, easily 30 seconds. You could almost hear her wanting to say yes, but knowing she couldn't because she was still in her pajamas or hadn't even started getting ready. I finally broke the silence and told her straight. I wasn't interested in playing these kinds of games. If she couldn't follow through on something as basic as showing up at a public, agreed-upon spot, then this wasn't going to work. I wished her a good night, politely ended the call, and moved on. I had put in the effort, got dressed up, planned the evening, showed up on time, despite the delay. I wasn't about to chase someone who kept changing the rules. That's when everything exploded. She got furious that I had called her out on backing out and not taking responsibility. My phone started blowing up with back-to-back calls and rapid-fire texts. I didn't answer a single one. By that point, she was already out of my mind. I redirected my ride and headed straight to a nearby bar to salvage the night and actually enjoy myself. She kept messaging for a while and finally stopped around 9 p.m. I was already inside the bar, laughing and chatting with a fun group of strangers, guys and girls just out for a good time. Then, at 11 p.m., came the long essay-length text. It was a mix of anger, excuses, accusations, and emotional manipulation. I'll spare you the exact words, but it was a masterclass in someone refusing to take any accountability. I never answered her calls or replied to any of those messages. I was too busy having an actual fun night out. Looking back, I know with 100% certainty that I dodged a massive bullet that evening. Sometimes the biggest red flags don't show up until the date itself, and when they do, the smartest move is to trust your gut, walk away, and protect your peace. I matched with a plus-sized model on a dating app. What started as casual drinks at her place turned into one of the most uncomfortable nights of my life. We got a mutual like on a dating app. She was fairly attractive, with a bright smile, though a few of her teeth were slightly crooked. I wasn't going to judge her for that. We exchanged a few messages, swapped phone numbers, and kept chatting. I had just moved to the city from another state, hadn't made any friends yet, and I was really missing my weekly routine of grabbing beer and wings at a bar, plus the occasional night where I could actually get properly tipsy or drunk. So when she suggested we hang out and have a few drinks at her place, it sounded low-key and harmless. I had done similar casual hangouts before without any issues, so I agreed. I arrived at her house, and she had already started drinking without me. She was double-fisting, a glass of vodka in one hand and a can of soda in the other to chase it down. We talked for a few minutes. Then she said she wanted to go outside so she could smoke. That was fine with me. I preferred the smoke stay outdoors so her house wouldn't smell like cigarettes. She chain-smoked several cigarettes in a row while we continued chatting. Every time we went back inside, she kept drinking, and I found myself refilling her glass as the conversation went on. She was knocking back the vodka at a steady pace. About every 20 minutes, she would want to head back outside for another cigarette or two. Just as she was starting to get really drunk, her young son suddenly woke up. I hadn't even known she had a child. He was autistic and had apparently had a bad dream. She asked me to go talk to him and tell him to go back to bed so she could finish her cigarette. I went in, sat with him for a bit, and calmly explained that everything was okay and it was time to sleep. His mom eventually came in, still stumbling, and put on a Scooby-Doo movie that he really liked. By this point, she was heavily intoxicated, stumbling around and slurring most of her words. She started ranting about a guy she was furious with because he only wanted to keep things as friends with benefits and wouldn't commit to anything more. Throughout the night, she kept boasting about her career as a plus-sized model, how successful she was, and how awful people were for suggesting she should lose weight. She was adamant that anyone who criticized her could go to hell because she was absolutely stunning and could have any man she wanted. I was growing extremely uncomfortable and wanted to leave, but she was in such bad shape that I felt irresponsible walking out and leaving her young son alone with her in that condition. In the moment, I didn't think of obvious solutions like calling a family member or emergency services. Instead, I stayed and watched the Scooby-Doo movie with her son while she continued rambling about her chaotic life. She kept insisting that everyone should love her and find her attractive, repeatedly asking why people were so rude to her and why no one ever listened. At one point, she told me I was the best listener she had ever met, probably because I was an Aquarius, and no one ever listens to an Aries like her. By now, she had smoked through her entire pack of cigarettes and was complaining that she had none left. She started shuffling through a stack of CDs, tossing the scratched ones onto the floor and cursing at her TV when they wouldn't play. She ended up breaking 2 discs in frustration while trying to force them into the player. Eventually, she began to sober up a little and asked me to go buy her more cigarettes. I honestly told her I didn't have any cash on me at the time and that I needed to leave soon. I explained that I just wanted to make sure she was sober enough to take care of her child before I went. She then suggested I take one of her gift cards and drive to a nearby grocery store to pick up cigarettes for her. I quickly checked my phone and told her the store wouldn't open for another couple of hours anyway, and I really had to get home to rest before work the next day. The following morning, she messaged me on social media asking how bad things had been the night before. I replied kindly but honestly, saying things had gotten a little out of hand. Her response was, OMFG, I suck balls. So many balls. Then she immediately blocked me. That was the last I ever heard from the only model I have ever met in person. Some dating app encounters start with low expectations and somehow still manage to exceed them in the worst possible way. I learned quickly that moving to a new city means being extra careful about who you spend your first nights out with.